begin with breaking news on Al Jazeera from the occupied West Bank. Israeli forces have shot and killed a Palestinian after he opened fire on an illegal Israeli settlement and killed a security guard. We can go straight to Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher in Ramallah. Alan, this is a rapidly developing story and it broke in just the last few moments. What have you been able to gather so far?
Well, most of the information that we're getting in the last hour or so is coming from Israeli Army radio. What we can tell you is that we believe that a Palestinian was driving near to the settlement of Kedumim when he got out of his car and opened fire. At this stage, we're told he killed a security guard and injured one other. That other person is in a serious condition. Now, a nearby army operation was alerted and they moved to the scene and chased the Palestinian into a nearby field where, in the words of the Israeli army, he was neutralised, which essentially means he was killed. The Kedumim is a settlement probably about an hour's drive away from Jenin, where of course we saw so much activity over the last few days, and is also the home of Bezalel Smotrich, who is the Israeli finance minister. We're being told that the checkpoints that run between Nablus, which is nearby, about an hour or so drive from Kedumim, and Kedumim are closed down for the moment, which of course is going to bring a great deal of hardship for the hundreds who are currently on the road trying to get to various towns and villages nearby. But just to repeat what we have found out in the last hour, a Palestinian opened fire on an illegal Israeli settlement, killing one security guard, injuring one other person. They are said to be serious. The Israeli army responded by shooting the Palestinian. He is now dead.
Alan, put this in context for us, if you will. You were heading our coverage of the latest round of violence, which was the Israeli assault on the Palestinian refugee camp of Jenin.
And the Israelis had stepped up their security precautions because they were fearful that there could be attacks in their area. We, of course, had the attack in Tel Aviv just a couple of days ago, where there was a car ramming and a Palestinian there was shot dead. So they were aware that this was a possibility, but if you look at the figures over the course of the year, the number of dead Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and Gaza up to this year so far, 195. For the moment, with the death of the security guard, that means that 29 Israelis have been killed. But certainly it will alert settler communities across the West Bank, and there will be increased security there in the coming hours. That is a given.
Alan, just before I let you go to gather more information on all of this, a word from you perhaps on Bezalel Smotrich. You mentioned that Kedumim, the settlement that was just targeted, is the home of Bezalel Smotrich. You mentioned he's the finance minister. He's not just the finance minister, of course. He has extensive power over what happens in the occupied West Bank, namely settlement building. So I think that's an important part of this.
But it may just be a coincidence as well. It may just be, to use a phrase from another place and another time, it just may be the opportunity opened up. And it could well be that. But the fact that Smotrich is there is worth noting, simply because he is one of what would be regarded as the extreme right-wing voices in the Israeli cabinet. And the fact that he is also a settler and at this settlement is certainly newsworthy just from that point of view.
All right, Alan Fisher reporting from Ramallah. Thank you very much. And your point is well taken, of course, that may be coincidence that the settlement that was just attacked is the home of Bezalel Smotrich. May or may not be. Thank you very much, Alan, for your coverage. We'll let you go and gather more news.